So I wanted to do a brief little video on a movie that I rewatched recently that reminded me a lot of Laura Bow, The Dagger of Amun-Ra. And I don't mean perfectly one-to-one, but kind of the same sort of vibe and similar settings, similar time frame. So we're going to have a quick look at Dance Fools Dance, a movie that came in 1933, pre-code, starring Joan Crawford and a very early Clark Gable. I didn't quite realise he was quite that good looking. Anyway, it focuses around Bonnie Jordan and her brother Rodney, who at the very beginning of the movie are very much, good time, rich kids. They party on boats and they do skinny dipping of all things. But the big difference in their lives come around when the stock market crashes during the Great Depression and their father has a heart attack at the same time as losing all their money. So they basically have to sell everything and there's this big auction to get rid of all their stuff. When Bonnie kind of realizes that the majority of her friends aren't really her friends.
Can you imagine Bonnie Jordan, poor?
It must be an awful letdown.
Serves her right. Imagined every man was crazy about her. Even Bob. Well, this'll take her down a peg or two.
But in this group of friends is a guy called Bobby. Bonnie and Bobby, it's not a good thing. But Bobby has a big thing for Bonnie. They're kind of playing it very casual. And so after the father dies, Bobby kind of has this idea, yeah, I'll do the right thing, with probably, I'm gonna marry you. And he doesn't have the sort of emphasis that Bonnie really wants from this relationship, it feels like he's doing the right thing rather than opposed to wanting to marry her. So Bonnie kind of just shuts down and she's just like, no, don't worry about it, mate. If you don't want to marry me, we don't have to do this. And I'd actually rather if you left now. And then so that leaves Bonnie and her brother Rodney. Rodney doesn't want to work. Really doesn't want to work. So Bonnie decides she's going to get a job. She really wishes that, Rodney would as well, but he really doesn't want to do that. So Bonnie starts working as a cub reporter at a newspaper. You see the Laura Bow connection? Although this is Chicago rather than New York, but she's not very good at what she does. Or rather, she's not experienced enough to be good at what she does. She writes 12 pages when they really just want 50 words. And honestly, it's kind of gross because as much as they're all being nice to her face, the moment she walks away, they're all like, she looks good.
Boy. Hello. When did she come on the paper?
Last week. Swell kid, too.
Yeah? Well, how did she get into this racket?
Friend of the managing editor. He's giving her a try.
What for? To rest his eyes?
But she does have one co-worker who is pretty cool. And he's an older reporter. Kind of if you were thinking about Laura Bow, this is Rube. He's top of his game. Everyone knows him. He's the head reporter. He's basically Lois Lane. I'm not, female, but, he's the reporter everyone knows. And so they have a really good relationship. And I live for this work relationship. The problem is that if you remember Rodney who doesn't want to work, he's actually managed to get involved with bootlegging. And when I say bootlegging, I of course mean alcohol. We are in the 20s, so it's the speakeasy times. There's going to be some Charleston dancing later, and he has a bit of a problem. You see, he, how do I put this? He kind of, thinks that he's going to go pick up a shipment of alcohol, but what happens instead is that he arrives, and instead the person that he works with shoots everyone at the place. And so now he's the accomplice. He's, driven the hitman away. So he's freaking out. He's at the bar with Clark Gable, who's trying to be just calm down, mate. You just gotta not say anything and this is all gonna blow over. The problem is that he goes to the bar to try and steady these nerves because, like a lot of them, they're alcoholics. He actually meets Bert, which is Bonnie's work friend, the awesome work friend, who, I don't know, maybe he did kind of look up her skirt, but at the same time, she was not wearing a skirt that you could look up. It was kind of a sweet moment until that part. Anyway, he starts talking as if he's been part of it as well, because he's kind of I know this guy's new and he's nervous, so he's probably going to spill all the beans on what's going on. And he lets go a little bit of it, not all of it. He basically just says, yeah, I was the driver. But because they're in Clark Gable's bar, but sorry, his name is Jake Glover, but we're in Clark Gable's bar. Let's just leave it as Clark Gable. But we're in his bar, and basically he's just spoken to a well-known reporter about being the driver for this hit. And so he then starts freaking out, and they pull him aside, and they're like, mate, you basically just told everyone what happened. You know what we could do? We're gonna just, we're just gonna keep plying him with drinks for a little bit, but you're gonna get ahead outside and wait for him to leave. And when he gets outside, you're gonna shoot him. That's how you're gonna make up for the fact that you just spilled the beans about this. And also he's not gonna spill the beans about you. So that unfortunately happens, and Rodney feels really bad about it. I mean, you would be, because Rodney wasn't meant to be a criminal. That's the reason why he was freaking out to be in the first place. He was just like, I'm just going to sell some alcohol with my bootlegging friend that I've been buying alcohol from before, but now I owe him money because I'm broke. So he was like, this is fine. I don't mind helping my friends get good alcohol. What I do mind is, driving a car for a hitman and now shooting a guy. So of course he's just kind of like holding up back to Bonnie, who is like heartbroken that her only work friend is murdered. And basically everyone at the paper is, devastated, because again, he is like the top of the game of the reporting of that field. So they actually put out, for that time, a $40,000, reward for finding out who killed Bert. And even Clark Gable's like, maybe I'm just, I'm going to actually sell the kid off myself, because that's a bit of scratch. Anyway, what they decide to do is they're actually going to put Bonnie undercover in Clark Gable's bar. Or rather, they're just going to say, like, her name's Mary Smith. Mary, go up to that bar and say, hey, I'd like to dance in your bar. Can I have a job? And that happens pretty quickly. He puts together a new cabaret number when he meets her. She's dancing. She's wearing this absolutely sparkly, beautiful suit. And I absolutely love this suit. I have to just point out that this thing converts into a full dress. Usually when these things, show up on movies, they go from being long dresses to being short dresses. But this going from a short dress to a long dress, it just... And we're in a black and white movie. You can tell how sparkly this is. I can't tell if it's, silver or gold, but it is stunning. Anyway, obviously he's very taken with her, and he wants to, find out her interests, go through her drawers, file through her cabinet, and there is one problem to this. She's obviously not that taken with him, because obviously she's like, I'm pretty sure he's involved, and I don't really want anything to do with him. But the problem with this particular night is Bobby's here. Yes, Bobby. And the same problem as before is happening. He's now gone in there saying, oh, hey, this is what you decided to do after losing all your money. Hey, how about I set you up in a legitimate club rather than you working for this spineless skink? Which is nice, but at the same time, she's also like, okay, so you just want to hire me as a good time girl. So we've not learned anything about what happened with our casual relationship before. Okay, no, I'm going. And she goes to Clark Gable's house. She's definitely trying to not actually kiss him, as much as he's saying stuff like, won't you be nice to me? And I hate that. I hate that dialogue. Anyway, the phone rings, and to try and bring some space between the two of them, she goes and answers it before him. But the problem is, she recognizes the voice on the other line. It's Rodney. And because she knows him really well, she goes, oh! Yeah, Clark's kind of got the wind up, but she just basically says, hey, I just got shocked. He was just very pressuring about wanting to speak to you. And so, while he's talking, Clark Gable's talking to her, she feigns a headache and sneaks out. And really sneaks out. She leaves through his bedroom window. And she goes to Rodney's apartment and basically gets Rodney to spill the beans. And I mean, if expressions could say absolutely everything, Anyway, she then decides to go home trying to work out what she's gonna do. And I just love the absolute casual way that she just, like, this is actually really good acting if you ask me, that she comes home and does not notice them straight away, even though they are literally front and center of her room. Anyway, so like the jig is up because not only in addition to the fact that she left Clark Gable's via his bedroom window, she was seen going through the window by Rodney's friend who got him involved with all this, who recognized her, so they fully know that she works for the paper and, you know, that she's Rodney's sister. And Rodney, basically worried that something's going to happen to her, shows up at the same time. So we then have a three-way shoot-off. And I absolutely love that these three men that are shooting at each other have put on such thick coats, even though there is absolutely no bullets actually being shot. But these guys shoot each other so many times and do the peak just fake dying. Like, Clark Gable, it's terrible and I love it. And then, you know, Rodney basically dies in Bonnie's arms. And the thing that I absolutely love about this next moment is how many people show up. You've got 2 police officers, you've got probably a building super and several people that probably live in the building. Like, if you heard that many gunshots going off in an apartment nearby, you would not go and join them. Anyway, the next brilliant moment in this is that from absolutely crying over this man, Bonnie decides to call the paper and report in. It's cold, but it's beautiful. Anyway, she's basically decided that she is not going to stay with the paper anymore. She's going to go move on, do her own thing. At the same time, I'm like, you just proved you're really good at this. And, you know, you have just basically avenged your best work friend who also was the best reporter in town. So obviously you couldn't go on. However, she decides she's going to try, you know, going away for a while, trying something else. And Bobby shows up, because of course he does. Bobby suddenly changed his tune from basically being like, oh, you know, I could marry you if you like want. It would be the nice and good thing to do. It would be the decent thing to do. To, I love you. I can't live without you. And I don't know. I don't really trust the words he says, but you know, apparently it is good enough for Bonnie. And you know, she kisses him once, and then this weird moment happens. I don't know. Anyway, things I really liked about this is just like, not only did you like, did the story kind of go everywhere in a really fun way, but when I look at the press room in this movie, I definitely get Dagger of Roman Ra vibes, because like, thinking about this press room versus the press room from Laura Bow 2, yes, the one from Laura Bow 2 had less people in it, but it still had that vibe of things always going on. And I also liked that, you know, Bonnie wasn't the only woman working for the paper. There was definitely a male slant in how many men were working for it, and that all the people that were in high, you know, ranking roles were men. But, you know, there was at least 4 or 5 other women in that press room that were working, so that's pretty cool. And, you know, I think this is the first movie that both Clark Gable and Joan Crawford are in. I have a ton of these more. I would definitely love to go through some more of these with you, but I was just rewatching this because I am working on a Laura Bow piece, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to kind of bring this into that, but I think just talking about it by itself, and then when I do make that thing, I can then mention this and be like, hey, hi, what did you think? But yeah, I think, you know, for a 1930s movie about the 1920s, that was, you know, pretty good. It was pretty fun. And it's the definitely type of films that it is fun to always go back to and see exactly what's going on. So, yeah, I will see you guys next time. Oh, and if you want more of me going through these really old movies, do let me know, because I do have a lot of these and they are all wild and crazy rides. I mean, let me just give you a spoiler of one of the movies that I legitimately have a copy of. It's called Hallelujah, I'm a Bum Again. I love old movies. I love them. I love them. Anyway, we're going to leave it there, and I hope you have a very good day. Bye-bye.